So back in 2022, New Jersey launched what was, by far, the most ambitious attack on single-use bags in the entire country. The goal was pretty simple: a cleaner state and a big shift in how people think about disposables. But what actually happened created this fascinating paradox, a tale of two very, very different numbers.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Did the ban actually work? Well, the answer, as it turns out, depends completely on how you decide to measure success. So here's what we're going to break down. We'll look at what made this ban so unique. Then we'll see the obvious signs of its success. But after that, we'll dive into the data that suggests it might have seriously backfired. We'll also get into all the surprising ripple effects and the big debate over what to do now. All right, so first, Fab, we need to understand what made New Jersey's law so different from literally anything else in the country. This wasn't just your average bag ban. You have to picture what it was like before the state stepped in. New Jersey was this total regulatory mess. You had a patchwork of over 180 different local rules for bags. It was a complete nightmare for businesses. And environmentally, plastic bags were always one of the top things found littering beaches. With these scary predictions that ocean plastic could literally outweigh fish by 2050, lawmakers knew they had to do something big to force a real culture shift. So this didn't all happen overnight. Governor Murphy signed the law in late 2020. A year later, plastic straws became by request only. Then came the big one, May 2022. That's when the full ban kicked in, getting rid of single-use plastic bags everywhere and, this is the key part, paper bags at big grocery stores too. And that is where our story really gets interesting. So let's start with the good news, right? Let's look at the very visible, totally undeniable signs of success. Because by one measure, the one you can literally see with your own eyes, the ban was an absolute home run.
And I mean, the numbers were just staggering. According to the New Jersey Food Council, in just the first 8 months, they estimated 5.5 billion, with a B, single-use plastic bags were kept out of the state's waste stream. That's huge.
And you could see the impact on the ground. The environmental group Clean Ocean Action, they track litter during their beach cleanups. And what they found was this dramatic drop across the board. Plastic bags were down 37%, straws down 39%, foam containers down 38%. It was working.
So you can see why groups like Environment America were celebrating. They called it the most successful law of its kind in the entire country, for cutting down on visible pollution. New Jersey was looking like a real leader. But that's not the whole story.
Right when it seemed like a clear victory, a second way of looking at the data emerged, and this one painted a completely different and much, much heavier picture.
And this really gets to the heart of the paradox. How do you measure success? Is it about the number of bags you get rid of, or is it about the total weight of plastic you end up consuming? The answer to that question changes everything.
So you've got these two competing ways of looking at it. On one hand, you have the total number of individual bags being used, and on the other, the total weight of the plastic it takes to make those bags. Okay, so first, let's stick with the number of bags. A study by a firm called the Freedonia Group confirmed the ban was incredibly good at this. The total number of bags people used dropped by over 60%. That looks like a win. But here's the shocker. That very same study found that the total weight of plastic being used for bags in New Jersey almost tripled. Wait, what? How is that even possible? How do you use fewer bags but more plastic? Well, it all comes down to the materials. The state basically swapped out those super lightweight 6-gram plastic bags for these heavy-duty, reusable ones made of non-woven polypropylene. That's a kind of bonded plastic fabric. One of these new bags can weigh up to 120 grams. That means it's got 15 to 20 times more plastic, and making it generates over 5 times the greenhouse gases.
And this massive shift in materials, well, it created a whole cascade of other problems that, frankly, it seems like lawmakers just hadn't really anticipated. First off, people started talking about the bag glut. If you get grocery delivery, they have to use a brand new reusable bag for every single order. So people's homes are just overflowing with them. Then there's something called the leakage effect. That's when you plug a hole in one spot and consumption just pops up somewhere else. In this case, people started buying tons of small plastic trash bags to replace the free grocery bags they used to use for, their bathroom trash can. And with so many bags piling up, they start to feel disposable. Remember, you need to reuse one of these 10 to 20 times to break even environmentally. Well, the average bag is only getting used 2 or 3 times. And meanwhile, the retailers, they're actually making a pretty penny selling all these new bags.
So that brings us to today. Lawmakers in New Jersey are now grappling with all this data, trying to figure out how to fix a law that is somehow at the same time a huge success and a pretty big failure.
And there are basically 2 main proposals on the table right now. The first option is a full repeal. Just get rid of the whole 2020 law and go back to how things were. The second idea is more of a middle ground. Keep the plastic ban, but let grocery stores offer recycled paper bags again as an option for shoppers.
Those who support a full repeal, like Assemblyman John Azariti, they say the science is pretty clear. The intuition was good. Ban plastic to help the environment, but the data on the increased plastic weight and emissions shows that, well, the experiment failed.
But on the other side, you've got people like Union Officer Orbito Diaz who are arguing for that middle path. He says bringing back paper bags is the responsible thing to do. It would bring back manufacturing jobs, give people an affordable choice, and provide a truly recyclable option instead of all these heavy plastic totes.
And that really leaves us with the central question here. When we're trying to design environmental policy, what matters more? The visible pollution that we manage to clean up and can no longer see, or the invisible, heavier footprint of the new things we create to replace it?